I'm Elizabeth Gale and I'm going to be painting this cheek art frog design today. I'm going to be using one of our new palettes. This is the Rainforest palette, and I'm going to be using this colour Vine and also this beautiful colour Palm. So this is Mary, she's our lovely model and she's from Mary Paints Faces. Go give her a follow on Instagram. So I'm going to start with a baby sponge and I've loaded it up with some Superstar Shimmer Golden Green. I'm just going to cover the eyelid and above the eyebrow as well. It's important to get above the eyebrow to make sure you don't leave a gap there. One of these sponges, you can really squeeze them into some little shapes just to get them where you want them. So I'm going to go just on the top of the cheekbone as well. I may need to come back in later and fill in another little gap once I've done the cheek art, but for now that's where we're going to leave it. And so next I'm loading up this colour, which is Vine from our Rainforest palette. And I'm going to be using the Verona 3/8 angle brush, this really nice little brush just to do lots of smaller details, which is great. So I'm going to start with the top of his face, or his snout, I guess, and then looping under to make a gap for his eyes, and then coming down to create the back side of his body. And then the same on the other side, keeping the dark colour on the outside. So I'm just going to reload so I can keep this colour nice and fresh. And again, just mimicking what I did on the other side, coming down and then connecting it all together. So next I've just sprayed a finger dauber a couple of times with my spray bottle, and I've loaded it up with the lighter colour from that one stroke that I've just been using. And I'm just going to fill in the middle of his body. So you just want to be tapping it gently, and actually this is a good tip to make your creatures dry a bit quicker. So if you use a finger dauber to fill in the middle, you can go back over with the stencils and the middle will be dry. So I'm going to be using the same brush to do the legs, and you've got to work out where you can place them so that they don't interfere with the person's eye. So I'm just going to place it underneath the eye here, and you want the dark colour on the bottom. Just connect them to the body. So we're going to do another arm this side and up. So you don't want your legs at the back to be too symmetrical. You want them quite staggered so that it looks like he's sort of half climbing or half moving. So I'm just going to load it with a bit more dark colour on the bottom. So I'm going to do a leg coming down, going up, sorry. And then you have to kind of work around what you've got on where your mouth is on the face. So you don't want obviously to go over their mouth. So I'm going to do a leg up there and then another one. And this one's going to be a bit more pointing down and sort of kicking down like that. So then you can just go back over them, sharpen up the colour a little bit. But try to place your frog so he looks kind of uneven, and work around the features of the face. So the next I've loaded up this lovely Palm colour, and we're going to do a swoop over the top of the eye, and you're just pressing down and dragging round. And for this I'm using the Face Paint Hub Sedona 5/8 angle. I'm just using that dark colour, just going to bring that edge of that dark colour just round a little bit, just to connect it around, give it a bit more movement and a bit more flow around the side of the frog. And then we're going to do a little swoop at the bottom as well. So we're just pressing down and dragging up underneath the leg. And I always like to add these sort of one stroke swoops in after I've done the main thing that I'm painting, so that they don't pick up that colour onto the frog or whatever it is that I'm painting. So I mentioned earlier that I might need to fill in a little bit more of that green. So I'm just going to go back over. If you keep the sponge handy that you've used, I'm just going to go back in and fill in that green. If you want to reactivate the colour, you don't need to go back into the colour. You can just spray the sponge once or twice with your spritzer, and that'll just reactivate the colour that you've got on there. So next I'm doing the eyes, and this is Superstar Red Valentine Shimmer. And I'm using a number 4 round brush for this, and I'm going to make these eyes quite big so they really stand out, nice big pop of red colour. And then I'm using the same brush and made the paint quite gloopy so that it makes some nice big round dots, and you're just making 4 little dots. So you want to place these around the edges of each of the legs. So this is just creating the beginnings of the webbed feet for the frog. And you're just pressing your brush down, just making 4 little dots. It's quite nice to do it in red because it makes it stand out a little bit more. And I'm just going to do the same on this side. Okay. And then I've switched to a number 2 round brush for the next part, the same paint. And I'm just going to drag from those dots in to the foot to create like little webby type feet. This is by no means a realistic frog. This is just my interpretation. And these are the same strokes that you used in the line work class and on your handout sheet, where you're just pressing your brush down and then dragging it to a point. And I'm going to add a stencil on the back of the frog's back because it's quite a plain area. This is from Pop Stencils. This is from the mini texture set. And I've got a finger dauber and some Superstar Peacock shimmer. And I'm just going to, just want that, pick up that middle part, which is going to give me some nice texture on the back of the frog. Always make sure that your paint is quite tacky, quite dry, and then that way you're not going to get a bleed under your stencil. So next I'm going to outline the frog. I'm going to do it in black just to give it a bit of definition. This is a number 2 and this is DFX black. And I'm just going to almost use my thin to thick skills here. So you're starting off thin and then you're pressing down and then coming up thin at the end of the stroke. This always looks much nicer rather than just one big thick line all the way around your object or your creature. So just going to go ahead and outline the rest of the frog now. And I'm flicking up to a thinner point at the end of the legs. And you could outline in all sorts of different colours. A really dark green would look nice. I've chosen black because I'm going to do a little bit of a outline in the darker colour from the palm one stroke as well. So it's going to give it a bit of contrast. But if you're up against time and you don't want to outline it, then you could leave this step off. The darker colour on the edge of the one stroke anyway would give you that kind of edge. But I'm a big fan of outlining. I do like it. It kind of makes, I think it makes the designs pop quite a lot. I quite like my designs to be quite bright and almost like sticker-like, so it helps with that effect. And I'm just going to use the same brush, and for the eyes, I'm just going to do in each eye, just pressing a little dot, and then I'm going to drag either side of that dot just to create like almost like a little amphibian eye, so that they're a bit longer. And then I'm not going to completely outline the feet. I'm just going to give them a little bit of black, just a little bit of shading, nothing too neat, just a tiny little line around each foot. And I've loaded up some of that dark colour from the palm one stroke that we used earlier with a number 4 brush. I'm just going to tidy up that edge and then create a little zigzag flick on the top. And this is just something you can do on the top of your one strokes, and it's just going to help with the flow of the design around the face. It's also great for neatening up edges. If you've got a bit of a rough edge on the bottom, you can use this trick. So do a little zigzag on the bottom as well. And while I've got that colour on my brush, I'm just going to, underneath the frog, just on one side where that dark one stroke goes, I'm just going to highlight around the edge of the frog, that side. Just a quick way to create like a little, almost like a little shadow underneath. And tidy up that edge, and it just also helps connect the one stroke to the frog. So, and then I'm not going to outline the feet as well, just going to leave it like that. I'm going to load up my number 4 brush with some neon orange. This is from Tag, making sure that the paint is quite wet so that I can get some nice rounded dots. And I'm just going to do a dot on each of the end of the toes in the orange. Just creates another little detail and makes these feet really sort of stand out. I really like the orange with the blue as well, that teal blue. It really looks nice together. Just going to go around and do all of the feet. You're just stamping your brush down. But again, this is another step that you can leave off if you really push for time, but I really think it adds quite a nice little pop of colour to this design. So next I'm going to do some highlights. I'm not going to do them in white, I'm going to do them in this lovely Face Paints Australia chiffon yellow. Goes really nice with the green. Just a little dot in each of the eyes. I'm just going to highlight the legs and this side of the body as well. Remembering you're thick to thin here, so you're pressing your brush down and you're just dragging it to a point. You don't need to be perfect, just tiny little flicks with the brush is enough just to create a little highlight. So just a few on the other side as well. And then we're going to use that same colour to add in some long comma strokes, just like we did in the line work class. And doing them in this yellow also helps to connect the rest of the design to the frog where they've got the yellow, which is quite, all of these colours complement each other, so it's quite nice to have them all in the design. It's going to be some long, I'm going to do 3 long comma strokes, pressing down with your brush and then dragging to a tip, all to the same point. And then I'm going to mimic that sort of zigzag at the top, just flicking it out underneath, dragging it down and flicking it out. And I'm going to do the same at the bottom as well. I'm just going to do 3 little comma strokes at the bottom, just 3 under here. So pressing down with your brush, dragging it in to a point. And then I'm going to flick that, I'm going to make that bottom one a little bit longer actually, and then flick that around. There we go, like that. And then I'm going to add in a few little dots as well, just to help emphasise the curve of this design around the eyes. I'm going to add these in this neon that I've used earlier, this neon orange. And these dots not only help to add a little bit of pop of colour, but they also help to guide your eye with the design going around the face. So I'm going to add some clear, vivid glitter balm. And this is a little spatula, little glitter spatula. And I'm just going to add some of that clear glitter over the top of the one stroke. You could add some nice green glitter or some blue glitter, but I really wanted to keep this glitter quite muted so that the frog is the star of the show. So that's the end of this tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed my little chic frog art today. And if you have a go at this design, please tag us in so that we could see. We would love to see it. And thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time. Hello, so for this eye design, I'm going to be